Republican Congressman Kevin Brady of Texas, Vice Chairman of the Joint Economic Committee. Sir, thank you for being with us. Are we really still that far apart?
You know, we really are. I started pretty optimistic about this, that we'd get this done well before the holidays, but I don't feel that way anymore. It seems to me a decision's been made, perhaps by the White House, to already take us off this fiscal cliff. I think it's irresponsible to do it. We're ready to work out a reasonable, sound solution, but I just don't see that coming from the other side right now.
Is it because there's so much going on behind the scenes? You know, we had Congressman Camp on yesterday saying that he thinks there's a lot of secret wheeling and dealing going on between John Boehner and the president. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I actually think these have been pretty sporadic talks. I know the Speaker Boehner's been frustrated by how slow the responses have been. And even when he meets with the president, I don't always feel like it gets translated into sort of the common ground they're looking for. Again, it's not just tax rates. It's authentic spending cuts. And if we don't really find a way to save Social Security and Medicare, we're going to face a credit downgrade in the future.
You're absolutely right. Is there talk? I mean, maybe we're just not hearing it. Is there talk about entitlement reform going on down there?
The Republicans have laid out proposals on how we can sustain both those important programs. As you know, Senate Democrats have already said it's taken off the table. Nancy Pelosi is pushing back on that, but I don't know how we keep ducking as a nation ways to save those two important programs. So we're taking the position we ought to tackle the tough issues and do it now.
Have you seen the latest proposal that John Boehner gave to the White House yesterday?
No, I have not, but I know the general outlines of it, and I don't see the movement on either real spending cuts, how we can get to fundamental tax reform, certainly not the entitlement reforms we're all hoping for.
What happens then? I mean, we go over this cliff. Everyone goes into panic mode. Granted, I understand a lot of things will be retroactive back to January 1st, but it could wreak havoc on the economy for a while.
Yeah, it really, our economy's flying low and slow. Turbulence from Congress and the president doesn't make sense right now. And so it seems to me we ought to come together now, well before the holidays, resolve this issue. And I still think a clean, credible bridge into next year that extends all the tax rates, sets a firm deadline for fundamental reform and entitlement reform, and addresses some of these automatic spending cuts. Seems to me that's a reasonable solution.
And yet, again, everyone's saying we're miles apart. What do you think it's going to take to get us there? Are the Republicans going to have to concede a little, maybe on the taxes?
I think we already have in the issue of tax revenue, which we really think economic growth done right generates a lot new tax revenue. For example, the higher tax rates pay for 8 days of federal spending. But just getting us back to the 2008 pre-recession revenue levels cuts the deficit by more than half. We think that's the right balance, coupled with, as you would have guessed, spending cuts that actually matter.
And yet you have Nancy Pelosi, equating the Republicans to Nero, fiddling with the fires, and which is, by the way, inaccurate history. She missed her history class. So we're name calling. That's what we're down to now, aren't we? That just seems like it seems futile for those of us watching this at home.
Well, I know it's frustrating. I think if we take a business-like approach to this, do what needs to be done to actually jump this economy, remove the uncertainty, and tackle the tougher issues. Look, there is a solution there, and it does include additional tax revenue, which I think at the end of the day is a win for the president. Higher tax rates, bad for the economy.
You're so logical, sir. You should have been in the office with the president. Let me ask you quickly about the Fed action today, as I know you are on the Joint Economic Committee. I know it's no surprise. At the same time, are we doing more damage than good by just continuing to pump liquidity into this economy?
I think we are over time. If the Fed keeps running the same monetary play, we're going to get the same economic results, which is a very slow, very irregular recovery with the uncertainty that still is in place because of the White House's talk of higher taxes, the president's new health care law, and just the tsunami of new regulations. Seems to me the Fed's actually adding more uncertainty to the process. We don't need more liquidity. We need fiscal solutions.
We certainly do. Congressman Brady, thank you so much for taking the time to share your thoughts.
Thanks, Tracy. Appreciate it.
So great.